Hello everyone. Have you ever wanted to build an AI powered chatbot for the Microsoft Teams that can auto reply using the OpenAI? You are in the right place. So today we are going to build an end-to-end chatbot that listens to team messages and responds intelligently. So we'll be using three major technologies. One is the N8N for the workflow automation. Second, we'll be using the OpenAI to generate the AI powered responses, and the third will be using the Microsoft Graph API to send messages to the teams. So by the end of this project, you'll have the fully functional chatbot that can handle the real-time conversations in the Microsoft Teams. So let's break down how this works. So when a user sends a message in the Microsoft Teams, so our N8N workflow will capture it using the webhook. The message will be processed by the OpenAI, and then the response will be sent back to the teams automatically using the Microsoft Graph API. So to make this work, of course, we'll be setting up Azure authentication, configuring API permissions, and automating the entire process with the N8N. And even make sure that you have the Azure account, OpenAI API key, and the N8N workspace ready before we start. So if you don't have this, we'll be creating how to register in the Microsoft Azure, and even I'll be showing you how to register in the N8N website as well. So let's dive in and start building our AI powered Teams bot. All right, so now let's discuss what we are trying to achieve in the project so that we'll have a clear idea of implementation. So this is how the N8N workflow looks. Can see the various nodes here, like something called Webhook, OpenAI node, edit fields, HTTP request, okay, edit fields one, okay. So it's like the same edit fields we are using. We can just rename this, okay. So we'll be doing that in the project. So finally, we have something called merge node, and I'll be sending the message after merging some information to the Microsoft Teams. So here, the first thing what happens is the first you're gonna send a user gonna send a message inside the chat. Okay, that is inside the Teams. So Microsoft Teams user send a message in the chat. The next step, so N8N captures the message and forward it to the OpenAI. Okay, so this is what you can see here. So waiting for you to call the test URL. So we need to trigger this. So this will be waiting for a message from the Microsoft Teams. So then those messages being captured, then the OpenAI will generate the response. Okay. So after generating the response, so N8N sends the response back to the same team's messages. Okay. So this is just an entire flow. So here in between, we have the various nodes just to clean the various metadata information or capturing certain important information so that I can just send a message to a proper chat ID. Okay. So we have something called HTTP request. We'll be using something called Microsoft Graph API to send the message to the specific chat ID. To capture those informations, we have the different nodes that has been implemented, but the entire flow is the Microsoft Teams user send a message in the chat, then the N8N captures the message and forward it to the OpenAI, then OpenAI generates a response based on like whatever the user has asked, then N8N sends the response back to the same Teams chat. Okay, so then finally the user sees the AI response in the team. Okay, so this is what the entire implementation is. So let's implement this step by step. So let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this video, let's create a free Azure account. So to create a free account, just get into the free Azure account. Just type free Azure account and you need to just click on the first link. Okay, so that is create your free account. So in this, click on try Azure for free and you need to have the Microsoft account. Okay, so I don't have Microsoft account. Let's create a new one. Let me just click onto this create one. And let me enter Euron Imran at Euron.1. So let me just click on to the next, and I need to enter the password. All right, so let me click on to the next. The next I need to enter my birth date. So it is Jan 20 and it's 1993. Let me click on to the next. Next I'll get a verification code to my email address. Let me just go and enter that. Okay, already I received it. Let me just enter that. It is 646036 and click on next. So once you done with creating the Microsoft account, then you can start creating the Azure account. Okay. So if you have the Microsoft account, you can just enter the account there. Okay. I'll just get back to that. Okay. Let me just solve this puzzle. Okay. So please solve the puzzle. So we know you're not a robot. Okay. Click on to the next. Okay. So I need to match this image. Okay. Use the arrows to rotate the object face in the direction of hand. Okay. I've just rotated. Click on submit. Okay. So verification done. All right, so it is directly getting me to the Azure free account. Okay, in case if you have an account, okay, so you can just directly enter your Microsoft account details. So it will navigate to the same page. Fine. So let me enter the first name. So MD, I'll enter Imran A, and the email address is my Microsoft account. And let me enter the phone number 975886695. And let me just enter the text me for the verification. So I'll receive the verification code here. So the verification code is 4693 and 6 and 2. And let me click on verify code. All right. So here it's asking me to enter the PAN card is optional. Okay. Fine. So company name, I'll just enter Euron here. And let me enter the address. So 511 Model Colony, First B Cross. So sometimes, so the PAN card entry will be, it will not be an optional. I mean, later they'll ask you to enter the PAN card. Okay. So make sure to just enter the PAN card details as well. Okay. Yeshwantpur and Bangalore. State is Karnataka. And let me enter the postal code. Let me agree to terms and conditions and click on to the next. So if you're from India, so make sure enter the PAN card also. Okay, later during the billing section, so that you'll not get any kind of errors. Okay, I mean like after creating an account. Okay, so if you enter your PAN card, so there could be no issues with your billing and any other things. Okay, so it's getting verified. Let's wait. All right, so I'm getting identification by the card. Okay, please provide the credit card or debit card details. Okay, let me just enter that. So this is my card here. Let me enter all the details. 602115 238661110, and let me enter. Okay, it's card name, sorry. So let me just paste the card name details here, and the card name is MD Imran A, and I need to enter when it will get expired. It will be on 10th 26, and CVV is 372. Let me enter the address details. Okay, already entered. Okay, let me just click on sign up. So it will redirect to the banking page. Okay, so where you need to verify your banking information. So I'll enter a password. So it is 085 308. Okay, so you need to make sure you have 2 rupees in your bank account. Okay. Okay, so 2 rupees got detected. Okay, so only click on sign up. Okay, so next is asking us for the multi-factor authentication. Let me just do that. Okay, click on next. And here already have downloaded the multi-factor, that is Microsoft Authenticator app. Okay, so make sure to download that, and you can just search, go to Play Store or App Store and search for Authenticator app. Okay, so Okay, let's verify by the identity. But even if you want to set the multi-factor authentication, you can do that. Okay, so I'll receive the mail to this email address. Okay, and this is my code 59 and click on verify. All right. So here, let me just give some feedback and click on submit. So yes, so we are completed with the Azure sign up, and I can just click onto this, go to Azure portal, and this is my portal. Okay, Azure Microsoft Azure portal. Okay, so we are done with creating an account. Okay, and we'll try to explore more about this in our upcoming videos. All right, so now next let's do the setup for the N8N, so which is an automation tool. So it's an open source, low code workflow automation platform that allows users to create a custom process and automate the task across the various applications and services. So it can be a self-hosted and it can even go with the cloud options. So here to do the setup, we need to just get into this N8N.io. Let me just click onto this. And so just click onto this get started, and you need to enter all your details here. Let me enter the name. Just enter all the details over here. At gmail.com, and you need to enter the password. And here you need to give the account name. Okay, I'll just give here Imran test. Okay, so Imran test.app.n8n.cloud. And so just check this and start the 14 days free trial. So the email does not match. Okay, so imranimutwaiti at gmail.com. Okay, so Gmail spelling is wrong. Gamail. Okay, fine. So now let me just click onto this start free trial. So for all this, you can just select whatever the options is. Click OK. I'll just select some random answers. Click OK. So invite the team members. Right now, I don't want to do it. Let me just click on skip. Yeah, start automating. Just click on start automating. All right, so once the setup is done, okay, you can see the 14 days left in your N8N trial period. Okay, so it comes with 14 days free trial, so you can just access all the pro features which is given in the N8N. So here you can see various sections. Okay, like overview. Right now I don't have any workflows. So this is the section so where you will manage all your credentials. Okay, so right now I don't have anything. Executions, you will see all your executions here. Okay, so inside the overview tab you can see the workflows, credentials, and the executions. So inside the workflows, you can create your workflow from scratch, or you can just go with ready to go AI agent example. Okay, so there is some ready-made templates, you can use that. If you're not going with this option, you can just go with here like create a workflows. Okay, so create credentials or create a workflows. As soon as you click on create workflow, it will just open a canvas. Okay, so where you can just drag and drop the components. So right now this is my canvas over here. So we have various options like zoom in, zoom out. Okay, so to clean everything, so from here we can switch to editor and the executions. Right now I'm in the editor so that I can just edit all the components. So if you want to add the nodes over here, just click on the plus icon. So you'll be getting a various nodes here, like trigger manual nodes on app events. Okay, if you click on app events, there are n number of app events. So you can see the various components tools here, right? So you can see we have a number of components. So apart from that, we have on schedule, on webhook call, okay, on form submissions, on chat. Okay, so we have n number of trigger components. Okay, so you can just select, for example, if I want to select the webhook, I'll just search here something called web hook. So this is my webhook. So it starts the workflow when a webhook is called. Okay, so you can just click onto this. So automatically, if you try to select that, so this is what the node has been added. So if you want to modify this, you can just double click and you can just set all the parameters and the settings over here. Okay, so this is how it basically works. So once you're done with everything, you can just execute only this component by clicking onto this listen for test event. Okay, let me just go back. So if you want to add the more components, you can just click on to this plus and can just select, for example, I want some Microsoft Teams. Okay, can just select that. I want to create channel, get channel. Okay, whatever the actions you want to perform, just select that. Okay, so this is how the node is connected. So you can individually run this entire nodes, or you can just trigger this test flow so that the entire workflow will get triggered. And so if you want to make a changes for the individual components, you can just click onto this individual components over here and make the changes. Okay, and whatever the parameters and the selectings you're gonna choose here, so it completely depends on what is the previous input. For example, this is my first node, so here we don't have anything as an input to this webhook, so it based on the trigger, so I'll be getting some kind of output from this webhook, and that output is being passed to the Microsoft Teams, and this is what the input to my Microsoft Teams. So I can just select all the parameters and settings based on the input to the Microsoft Teams. So if you click on test step, so it will be executed, this component will be executed and it will generate its output. So this output will be passed on to the next component. Okay, so this is how it basically works. So apart from that, so we have something called save. Apart from that, we have something called inactive. Okay, so if you want to make this entire workflow as active, you need to just set this as active. So if you want to share this workflow, you can just share it, and if you want to save it, okay, so make sure whatever the task you're doing it, okay, so after the some part is done, okay, some work is done, so make sure you click on to this save over here, okay, because this is very important. If you're not saving it, your the workflow will not be saved. So once you're done with some of the configurations and settings, okay, so make sure you click on to the save over here. So next, even you can just manage the versions as well. So here you can see the various versions. So like we have something called duplicate, download. Okay, so import from URL, import from the file. So you can just do this. Okay, so I'll be showing this when we start with the project. And apart from that, so here you can see the projects. Okay, add projects over here. Okay, so various settings, and so all these things are admin sections. Okay, you can see. Let me just click on leave. You can see as soon as if I'm not saving this. Okay, so this everything will be cleaned off. So if you click on to that project section, okay, so let me just go back. So yeah, as soon as you click on to this section, that is the admin panel, okay, it will redirect to this page. Okay, so where you can just navigate back to your workspace. So if you want to go to back workspace, just click on this workspace here, so it will navigate to this workspace section. Okay, so this is your workspace where you will be building all your workflows. So let me just go back, admin panel. So here is just like a dashboard, okay, where you can see like what are the total number of executions in the March, okay, active workflows. You can see all the details over here and the number of days. Okay, so unless you buy the upgraded plan, you will be seeing all this information. So let me just go back. And so yes, I think like most of the things I've just explained you, which is necessary for the project. And apart from that, we'll not be using any kind of variables here. Okay, so if you want to create any of the variables for the project, you can just click onto that. And if you want to see some templates, inbuilt templates, you can see almost there are 1,489 workflows automation templates based on different categories here. If you want to go with engineering, you can see the various templates within the engineering section and can directly start using these workflows. And so once this is setup is done, so we are at good stage, so we can start implementing our project. All right, so the next important component which you need to have is the Microsoft Teams. So if you don't have Microsoft Teams, you can go to Microsoft Store and search for Microsoft Team here, just install it. And once the installation is done, you can find the app like this. Okay, so make sure you have the Microsoft Teams, because this is the place where we'll be adding the bot, right? And here, so if you go to Teams, okay, so make sure you have an access to create a Teams. Okay, if I just go to Teams tab here and click on plus, so I can create a channel as well as a team. So in case if you're not able to find this options, it means that you don't have an admin access. So make sure you get the admin access to complete the entire project. So here, so this is the one of the way. So the alternative way is you can just go and access from the web browser as well. You can just go and search the Microsoft Teams, and there you can just register it. And here, this is your account. Okay. So from here also I have an access. You can just check. I go to Teams here. So right now I have the one team called Euron, and this is my channel, general channel, and even I have an access to create one more team as well as the channel. Okay, so here I'll just go with this particular team over here, that is Euron. So yes, so make sure you have the Microsoft Teams installed so to complete this project. All right, so now let's discuss the order of execution, so which will be very helpful for you to follow this project step by step. The first is we're going to register the app in the Microsoft Entra ID. Then we're going to configure the API permissions, generate the secret and the client secrets. Okay, so we're going to set up the redirect URI, configure the OAuth, and finally we're going to connect N8N to the Microsoft Teams. So now whenever you're going to send a message from the Microsoft Teams, the N8N workflow, the first node is something called Webhook. Okay, so that has to be triggered. So to trigger that, so this entire process has to be set up in the Microsoft Azure. Okay, so we'll be doing this step by step. So let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome back. So let's start building our project. So the first step is so make sure you have N8N account, Microsoft Teams access, as well as you have Azure account. All right. So first, so we're gonna do this entire setup. Okay. So in the Azure, so we'll first register the app in Microsoft Entra ID. I'll be showing the certain steps which you need to follow. Then we're gonna configure the API permissions. We generate the client secrets. So then we configure even the OAuth. This is basically a connection between the N8N as well as the Microsoft Teams. So then finally we're gonna connect all the nodes, okay, so that the entire execution will work fine. So this will be our entire process. So I'll be navigating between the multiple tabs, okay, so make sure you just follow along, and if you have any queries you can just let me know in the comment section. All right, so this is the first step, that is we need to register the app in Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, and even I have opened my N8N workflow. So this is my workflow. So first let's go and create an empty workflow. Okay, so then we can just start implementing one by one. So here you have an create workflow option. Okay, if you just click on this overview over here, and here you have a create workflow option. So just click on create workflow, and I'll just rename this workflow. Let me create a project called Euron Plus. Okay, so I'll be creating all the services and all the names, app name, bot name, with the name called Euron Plus. Okay, so you can just decide one name so that it will be a same name across the different services. Okay, so that will not get confused. Okay, so I'm just going with this Euron Plus. So I'll just tell Euron Plus project, Teams project, Euron Plus Teams project. Fine. So I have just renamed it, and make sure you just save every time as soon as you add any of the nodes here. Okay, because we are in the free trial, so most of the features doesn't work. Okay, like for example, we have something called a revision. I mean, like you can just not revision versions. You can just go back to the previous versions, but you can just go back just 5 versions. Okay, because we are in the free trials, we're not able to access some of the features. And similar, like we don't have the auto save option. You need to save every time. Okay, so whenever you are adding any of the nodes here, okay, to save your work. Okay, all right, so the first node, okay, which we're gonna add over here is something called Webhook Node. Okay, let me just click on this plus here, and here I'll search for something called Webhook. So this Webhook node is basically is used to receive the HTTP request. Can you see here? HTTP request from the external source, and this and it will trigger the workflow when specific events occurs. Okay, this is what the task of Webhook is. So if from the external source, if so based on whatever the get URL we have, okay, we're gonna set that in some of the external source. As soon as some event is happening in that particular external source, this workflow will get triggered. Okay, so this is what the main point is. So here we have various settings, okay, like HTTP method, okay, path, authentication, respond. Okay, if you have any of the doubts like what does it mean, you can just hover on to this question mark, okay, so that you'll get an idea of like what is happening in this particular step, and why we're going with this particular option, right? So let me just go back, click onto this, back to the canvas. Sorry. Okay, so right now this is what the one node I have. Okay, so this is the webhook node. And let me just open the Google Docs. So what I'll do is I'll gonna save some of the important parameters which is required for me, so that it will be helpful throughout my project. Okay, so I'll be saving all those things. So I'll tell here Euron plus Teams project, Euron plus Teams project. All right. So the first thing we're gonna do is let me go to the webhook. So here we have something called test URL and the production URL. During the test, I mean, like whenever you're building, so we'll be using all these test URLs. But whenever you have set everything and you have tested, okay, so and you want to put this workflow into a production, then you can just click on this production URL and can just try to replace it. And whatever the URL you are getting it, okay. So this is the default one, okay. So I have registered this. With this name called imran.app.n8n dot cloud slash webhook. Then we have something called a test, and after this you can see some number over here, right? So this number is coming from this path. The first thing which we're gonna set over here, it is the request. Okay, so we'll have the request, that is it will be a post request. Let me just select the post. uh, yeah, so why we go with the we have a get request and the post request, right? So whenever you want to get something information, we're going to have the get request. But whenever you are sending some data to the webhook, okay, we have the post request. So because of course from the teams we're going to send the message, right? So of course it will be a post request over here. So the next, we need to update the path. Okay, let me just cancel this out because it's very big number, so we'll not be using this. So I'll be using something called Euron plus itself. Okay, so I'll tell here Euron plus. Fine, you can see now it has been updated to Euron plus, and this will be my post webhook URL. Fine, and authentication I'll keep it as none, and the respond is basically like when and how to respond to the webhook. So I'll go with the immediate response. Okay, and this is what the setting is. We don't have anything to set in the settings as well. Okay, so only these parameters we need to update, that is the post, the path you can just give any name, but I've given the Euron plus. Authentication is none. Okay, and the respond, so when this webhook has to respond, so I've just set that to immediately. Fine, and even let me just copy this. Okay, so let me just copy this and I'll just name this as webhook URL. Okay, webhook webhook post URL. Let's copy and paste this. Okay, fine. So make sure just copy and paste certain informations whatever I'm doing it, so that at the later whenever we need this information I can just copy from here, or else if you are familiar with like from where to copy, you can just copy in from there also. Okay, so this is the first node which we have set. Okay, so we'll again come back to this. Then now let's go and set up all this process one by one. Okay, first we need to register the app in the Microsoft Entra ID. So let me just do that step first. So just get into your Microsoft account. So this is my Microsoft Azure account. Okay, so once you get into this, so you need to go to the a service called Microsoft Entra ID. Just search for Microsoft Entra ID. Let me just select this. So here inside the Entra ID, if you go to this manage section, okay, so we have something called app registrations. So because we are interacting with the teams, okay, because teams is a Microsoft product, whenever you're interacting with any of the Microsoft products, somewhere it's connected to the cloud services. So we are setting up all those API connections, okay, the permissions, okay, so that whenever you are sending a message from the teams or you want to send back a message to the teams, okay, we need to have all those APIs set up along with the permissions and the settings. To configure all those things, okay, that's what the 5 steps have just listed. So this is what you need to follow along. Okay, so here if you just get into the manage section and go to your app registration, so right now I have few apps. If you go to your all applications, you can see this is what the apps currently which is there in my account. So you need to click on to this new registration to set up the new app. Okay, so let me just click on to this new registration over here, and I'll just name this as a Euron plus app. Okay, Euron plus app, and here you can just set this to multi-tenant accounts, so who can use this application, access this API. So this API can be accessed in the organization directory. I mean, like anywhere within the organization. It's a multi-tenant. Okay, so this is what the option is. So next thing, we need to set the URI. Okay, and the URI you need to go to the web and need to set this URI, and the URI will be http https double slash OAuth dot N8N dot cloud slash OAuth 2 slash callback. Okay, so this is what the redirect URI you need to set. Okay, back. So it's https colon double slash OAuth dot N8N dot cloud slash OAuth 2 slash callback. Okay, so this is what the redirect URI you need to set. So what is meaning? It's optional, but you need to set this. Okay, so it will return the authentication response to this URI after the successful authentication the user, and providing this, now it's optional, it can be changed later, but the value is required for the most authentication scenarios. So this is what the value you need to give. Okay, so the name, the supported account types, and the redirect URI. Okay, so once this is done, just click onto this register over here. Let me just go back. If you're stuck somewhere, okay, so always what you can do is always go back. Okay, so just search for this Microsoft Entra ID, and if you go to your app registrations, okay, so you can just click on all apps. Now you can see that the Euron Plus app which I have registered. So let me just verify. Just a second. Okay, so this is my app Euron Plus. So this is what the details you're getting over here. Okay, so we completed this first step, that is register the app in the Microsoft Entra ID. So next we need to configure what API permissions. So for the application which we have created, so let me just go back. So here we need to go to the manage once again, and inside the manage we have something called API permissions. Okay, just copy this, just click onto this API permissions, and here we need to add all these permissions. Okay, so right now we have only this user dot read. Okay, let me just click on to this add permission over here, and we need to add a permissions for the Microsoft graph. Okay, so which is basically API endpoints, okay, which help us to connect to the various applications built by the Microsoft. So let me just select this Microsoft graph, and here we have two types of permissions. Okay, something called delegated permissions and the applications permissions. Let me just select this delegated permissions, and the first permission we need to look for is something called chat dot or read write chat permissions. Yeah, so just check this. So then we have one more permission. It's called chat message dot send this permission. And so next we have user dot read user. Okay, if you can't find this, you can just search in the application permission user dot read. Okay, user dot read is not there. Okay, you can just view not required, sign in user. Okay, user dot read. Okay, user dot read is already checked. Okay, so we added the three permissions. Let me just click on add permissions. Let's see if we can see the three. Yeah, this is the 3 1. And once this is done, just click on to this grant admin consent for the Euron and click on S. Okay, it's basically we are granting a permissions for the account which you have created. So you can see granted for the Euron. Okay, this is my account. So again, if you want to add the permissions, again it's the same process. Okay, let me add few more. So I have some permissions. Make sure you just add the correct permissions so that later it will it will not affect. Okay, because if you have not granted the permission, then it will not able to send the messages or view the messages. Okay, make sure to just add all the permissions whatever I'm attaching it. uh, Delegated, again I'm just repeating the same process, but it's not it's a different permissions. So we have something called channel, channel dot read basic. Okay, channel dot read basic all, just check this. Then channel message read write, channel message send, channel message read write, channel message read all, and channel message, yeah, just set this three. uh, then chat read is already done, chat read is done, chat read write is done, chat message send is also done. Then user, let's set the permissions for the user. User dot read, yeah, so user dot read all, just set this also, user read basic dot all. Okay, please update all these permissions. I'm just checking it if I missed something. uh, okay, let's give the permissions for the teams now, specifically with respect to teams. So teams dot read, teams teams dot read, team, team, it's not team, teams, it's team. Okay, team dot read, so team dot read basic all, then teams, then we have teams activity. Okay, we have something called teams the activity. So teams activity dot send, read and send, then teams dot application, check in application. Okay, so teams dot application, teams dot application, app application dot read and write, read write, chat, just give all these permissions for the teams app application. Okay, so maximum I think you can add the 30. So until we reach that level, we'll add all these permissions. Okay, so that later will not face any errors. In case if you're facing any of the issues, again you need to come back here and add the permissions. Okay, if you miss something, fine. So I've just selected all most of the applications, which is most of the permissions, which is helpful. Okay, so yes, I've added. So let me just click on grant admin consent and click on yes. Okay, so this is what the permissions have granted so far. So in case we missed something, again we can come back to this API permissions and add it. Okay, so this is what the second step we have completed. So let me just show that. So this is the second step. Okay, we have registered the app in the Microsoft Entra ID. We have configured the API permissions. So next we need to generate the secret clients, client secrets. Okay, so let me just go back. Okay, to generate the secret clients, okay, so here we have something called certificates and secrets. Okay, so I'm in the certificates and secrets. Let me click onto this new client certificate, and here I'll enter the Euron plus, and here the expiration I have just kept to 6 months and click on add. So here I got a value and the secret ID. Let me just copy this value, client secret. I'll paste it here, client secret, and we have the client value, sorry, secret ID. Okay, secret ID, this is a value and this is secret ID. I'll tell here it's a value, and the next we have secret ID. Okay, so we need these informations. Let me just add the insert to break down. Fine, and just copy this. Make sure just copy this and keep it separately. Okay, so this is our third step. Okay, so we have just generated the secret clients. So next, so we need to set the we need to set up the a redirect URI. Okay, so let me just go to the authentication. So I think that we already set while the okay. Anyways, you can just go to the authentication. So this is my authentication. So inside the authentication, we already set this. Okay. So that is https oauth.n8n.n/or2 callback. Okay. So just a second. I have added oauth dot n8n. Okay, let me add one more. Okay, just add one more. So https colon double slash n8n uh, dot io slash oauth auth 2 slash callback. Okay, create all this. You'll be soon understanding. Okay, we'll be using all those things. Okay, auth. Okay, just save this and click on save. Okay, let me just re-verify authentication. Certificates and secrets, we have just already set up that authentication. Yeah, so these are two array. Okay, http colon double slash or dot n8n dot cloud slash or 2 slash callback. This is perfectly correct. Next, https colon double slash n8n dot io slash or 2 slash callback. Okay, just try to add this both. Okay. All right, so now let me just go and verify. So we have done with the step number one, that is registering the app, right? So we have configured the API permissions. We have generated the secret client, and we have set up the redirect URI also. And we need to configure the OAuth and N8N. I'll be doing that. Okay, so not right now. So I'll be doing that. So when we just set up all the nodes and assign the permissions, the same thing. Okay, if in case if it is not able to connect, okay, so if you get any errors, okay, we'll try to update those API permissions and grant the admin consent. Okay, that's what we have already done in the step number 2, right? API permissions. In case if we have any of the errors during this configure OAuth, then we need to again set up that back. Then we can finally connect. Okay, so this we're gonna do it. Okay, so yes, we have just completed all these steps. So now let's proceed to the next process. Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this video, let's create an app. Okay, so this app will be act as my bot. Okay, once the app is created, we're gonna attach that particular app to my Microsoft Teams. To create a new app, okay, let me click on create a new app. I'll just name this app as Euron Plus, and let me click on add over here. And here you need to enter the full name. I'll just give Euron Plus Chatbot, and so this is my app ID. Fine, and here you need to enter some of the short and long description. I'm just copying that from my website itself, that is from the Euron website. Let me add those details over here. So next, the developer name, I'll give Imran. This is the website, Euron website. I need to attach the privacy policy as well as the terms and conditions. The next important thing is I need to attach the client ID. Okay, so you'll get the client ID from your Microsoft Entra ID where we have created an applications. So here, this is my application called Euron Plus, and here I have this application ID. Okay, so client ID, I'll be copying that, and let me just paste that application ID over here. All right, so now so this is done. Let me just click on save. All right, so this is done. So now let me just go back to my app features. So here, let me just set the app feature, that is, it will be act as a bot, and let me enter the bot ID. For the bot ID, you need to just copy the same information. That is, so if you just go back to your app registration, so this is your ID. Okay, same ID. Let me just copy this and paste it over here. And what my bot can do, so let me just select all the options like personal, teams, this. Okay, let me give all the permissions here and click on save. And once this is done, so you can just give other informations like branding in case you want to upload the logo or some outline, some colors. Okay, and just so right now we have just set this app feature, that is a bot. Okay, and here permissions, so make sure you just give all the permissions which is specific for the chat. So let's give the chat manage dot this one. Let me just check the permissions. So even though we have attached the permissions in the while configuring the API, but even you just select the proper permissions over here. Okay, so the permissions. So make sure you give the chat dot manage chat. Okay, first let's give the chat message. Okay, so we have something called chat message dot read dot chat, then chat message send, and the chat member. So we have something called chat member, chat member read dot chat. Okay, so yeah, for the first permission, chat member dot read dot chat. So then chat message dot read dot chat, as well as chat message dot read dot chat. Okay, so just give all these permissions and click on save. All right, so now we need to publish this particular app. Okay, right now you can see we have the publish. So here in the publish, you are getting like publish to team store. Of course, we need to publish here, or we can publish to only the organization. Let me just click on this publish to the team store, and yeah, so everything is correct. So there is everything is success now. So let me just select all these features over here and click on download app package. So Euron plus 2. Okay, so right now there is a 2 here. Okay, so we need to select the proper zip file. So whatever you have downloaded, just make sure that you're just uploading the correct zip file. So once this is done, so we are done creating our application. So now the next step is we need to upload this. Okay, so to upload that, you need to get into this admins.teams.microsoft.com. So this is a Microsoft Teams admin center, and here if you go to your manage apps. Okay, so right now so whatever the applications you want to upload that into inside the teams, you need to manage from here. Okay, so just get into this manage application. So this is how the dashboard looks. So it you can see all your teams details over here. But if you want to manage any of the applications, you need to get into the manage apps over here. Okay, so right now you can see all the applications for the teams, but right now we are uploading our own application. So for that, you go to your actions, click on upload new app. So here we need to upload the custom app. Let me just click on upload and just select the proper zip file, that is Euron plus 2, and click on open. So if you once you click on open, so here you'll not get any kind of notification, but it has been uploaded. So it will take a bit of time. Okay, approximately 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so to reflect that app inside your all apps section. Okay, so let's wait. So I'll just continue once this process is done. All right, so now let's go and refresh. So after refreshing it, let me just check Euron Plus. Euron Plus. Yeah, you can see this app is showing up here, right? So it's published. Let me just open this, and this is the version 1, and you can see all its permissions, right? So everything is working fine. So now let's go and attach this particular app to my teams. So let me just open the teams over here. You can just go to the app, and inside the app you can just look for build for your organization. So this is what the app says, or else you can just directly search here like Euron Plus. So it should show up in the app section. Okay, let me just click on to this, and you can see all the basic details over here. Fine, permissions and stuff, you can just click on add. Yeah, so it's adding. You can just open that, can see. So you can here inside the Euron Plus, So this is Euron Plus. So here we don't have an access to the messages. Let's try to fix this now because this is the permission issues. Okay. So but we are able to successfully add that app over here. Okay. So if I just refresh. So I should see up that app over here. Yeah, Euron Plus. Yeah, you can see. So I'm getting like you cannot send a messages to the bot. So now we need to set the permissions. Okay, so that this app. So from this I can just send the messages. All right, so now it's reflecting. You can see the published version is 2 here. Okay, so it will take some time. Okay, so don't rush and just go and keep on checking that whether it's not reflected or not. Okay, it will take some time, sometimes even 30 minutes also. Okay, so make sure you just upload it and leave it for some time. Okay, so once this is reflected, you can just go back to your teams once again and go to your apps. Okay, so inside the apps now, if you just search your app over here like Euron Plus, so this is my app. You can just open that and yeah, so you can see click onto the add over here. And even very important, check the version. Okay, because even if it's showing the older version means that it's not reflected. Okay, so make sure you upload the latest version and click on open. Okay, so this is added. So if I just go back to my apps over here, so you can see this Euron Plus. You can just click onto that. So if it is showing this error, just refresh it. Okay, so we can just refresh. Yeah, so here you can just search for the Euron Plus once again. Yeah, so you can see right now it's open, and here you can just type the message. Okay, so right now it's not triggering anything because we have just completed the entire process in the Azure perspective. Okay, so we start, just to summarize. Okay, so we started with the Azure services, that is Azure Entra ID. So in the Azure Entra ID, we have created an app. So this is our app called Euron Plus. Okay, so here we have set all the necessary configuration in terms of authentication, certificates and secrets, API permissions. Okay, so all those things has been set. So the next thing which we did was creating an app inside the developer portal. Okay, so you need to enter all the features, features which you're looking for the bot. Like you can get into the app features and set the bot. So once this setup is done, you need to download that manifest file, and inside the manage app, that is inside this Microsoft Teams. Okay, you need to manage the app. Okay, you need to upload that particular app over here, and after uploading it, you will try to take some minutes, okay, to reflect that inside your Microsoft Teams app section. So once that is available, you can just try to add that inside your teams and start using it. And even we have added one more service, that is a bot service, which is basically help us to set up the bot. Okay, so whatever the trigger is happening in the Microsoft Teams, it is happening with respect to this Euron Plus bot which we created, right? This is what the bot is. So make sure, so you have the bot profile. Even we have set the very important configuration, that is the messaging endpoint, where we have enabled the streaming point. So yes, so this is we have completed this step. Okay, so now we are left with just setting up this entire pipeline here. Okay, so we'll be doing that in the next section. All right, so right now we are facing that you cannot send messages to the bot. Okay, let's try to fix that. To fix that, let me just open this Euron Plus 2. Okay, so this was the manifest file which I've just uploaded, right? So let me just extract that. So let me click on extract. So here, if you open this manifest file in the extracted file, so here we need to update one of the setting. So if you just scroll down, so there is a setting called notification. Okay, is notification only. Okay, so for this you need to set to false. It's not only notification, even you can just send the messages. FALSE false. Okay, and click on save. So once you are done with the save, okay, so what I can do is, so here even you need to again we need to upload this manifest file. So for that I need to change the version as well. Okay, so let me just go and update the version as well, Control S. Okay, so now I have just saved this. If I just close that, so you can see inside the extracted file of the Euron 2 Plus, if I go to my manifest, and here So let me just verify that is the version is the 2 here. And so even the his notification is set to false. Okay, this is correct. Let me just close this out, and if I just go to my downloads once again, so now let me just zip this. So before this, let me just rename it. Okay, I'll just rename this as final. Okay, Euron plus final, and let me just zip this so that I can upload this manifest file once again. So here I'll just go compress to zip. Okay, and so inside this you can find Euron plus file once again. Okay, so we need to zip this, guys. Okay, not that one. So let me just go and so here if I go to downloads, so where is my Euron plus final? This is my Euron plus final. Euron plus final zip. If I open the zip file, so again I can see one more folder here. It should be not be that way. So here let me just zip this also. Okay, let me just go and so what I'll do is let me just go and create a new folder, because inside this this is what the files is. Let me just select this files and zip it. Okay, so let me just select this file and click on zip it, because we don't want the subfolders. Compress to zip. So I'll give here Euron plus final, enter. Okay, so now within this Euron plus folder I have this zip file. Okay, so where I can directly see the those files. So don't zip the outer folder, because again you need to there'll be again one more folder within that. Okay, so make sure just select the files and try to do it. So let me just go back now. So this is your manage app. So right now you can see this is the version 1. Let me click on upload file once again. So this will be my updated file of the version 2. So here I'll just look for the Euron plus. So inside this I have created this Euron plus final. Let me just select that, open. You updated Euron plus in your list. Okay, it will take some time for the reflection. Okay, so once this is done, so again we can just go back and try to uh, uh, reinstall my app. Okay, so if I just go back here, for example, I just click on uninstall, remove. I'm just uninstalling it so that it will should show up my updated version. So once that updated version is shown, so then we can just go and install that back. Okay, so let's wait, because it will take a few minutes for the installation. All right, so now let's configure the very important step. So inside the webhook, if you remember, so this is what the path we have set, that is https imranimu.app.n8 cloud. Okay, so a slash webhook test slash Euron plus, right? So from the team, okay, if anyone is sending the message, this webhook has to be get triggered. Okay, to happen that, okay, so even we need to set something called Microsoft Teams bot. So with help of that particular bot, okay, it will trigger this webhook. To do that, okay, let me just go back to my cloud service, that is Azure services. So here we have one of the service called bot service. Okay, Azure Bot. Just search for Azure Bot. Inside it will be in the marketplace. So let me just select that. So here I need to give the bot handle. So I'll give as Euron plus, and subscription is pay as you go model. Resource group, I'm going with the teams. In case if you want to create some new resource group, you can do that. And here I need to give the Microsoft app ID. This is very important. So let me just go with the existing app ID. So I need to enter the app ID. So from where I'll get app ID? So I'll just open this in a new tab. So already we have created an application for this, right? So let me just go over here. And so this is my Microsoft Entra ID. And this is your app ID. Okay. So if you just go to your application app registrations, and inside the app registrations, you can see all your applications. So this is the Euron Plus app, and this is your app ID. Okay. Let me just copy this app ID and paste it, that app ID over here. Okay, and let me click on review and create. Let me click on create. So in these steps which we were uh, following, we have already completed all the steps over here. Okay. So let me just go back and check it. Yeah, as you can see, so deployment is complete. Now go to the resources. And here you can see the bot profile. Okay, so this is my bot profile. So here also you can just upload the image and display name. So even you can just configure even before sending the message from the teams. Even if you want to test it from the web chat, you can just do that. Okay, this is what the test in web chat is. So right now it's disabled. Let's enable all these permissions. First, let me get into the bot profile. So here we don't have anything to change. Let me go to the channels. Okay, so here let me just select the proper channel. So here the channel is teams. Let me just select the teams over here, and let me apply the terms and conditions. Agree. Okay, Microsoft Teams, and let me go to the calling. Let me enable the calling, and the and for the calling. Okay, for the messaging. So this is correct. Okay, for the callings, webhook for the calling. I think calling will not do anything. Okay, don't need publish. So even this is correct. Okay, so right now the only thing this is in the channels. Make sure you just select the Microsoft Teams and click on apply. All right, so let me just recheck. So channels. So now I should see the Microsoft Teams as well. Yeah, this is the Microsoft Teams. Let me just click on open in Teams. Let's see if I'm able to open it in proper. Uh, if I'm able to connect properly. So make sure you have the Azure account as well as the Teams account. I don't have permission. Okay. Anyways, okay. Let's go and attach those permissions as well. Okay. So here, uh, inside the encryption. So we don't have anything in encryption. Networking. Enable the public access from all network. This is done. So even this is done. So the next important thing which you need to set is the configuration. Inside the configuration, we need to enter the messaging endpoint. Very, very important. Okay, so from where I'll get this messaging endpoint? So the messaging endpoint is the one. So this is what the webhook post URL is. Okay, let me just copy this and let me just go and paste that in the messaging endpoint. And the rest everything is same. Let me click on apply. All right, so make sure you just enable this streaming endpoint. Okay, so just click onto this enable and apply. So this Azure bot we have successfully set up. So in case you are finding any difficulties, we can come back and try to fix it. So here, so just to summarize, this is my bot profile. Okay, it's called Euron Plus. So make sure in the configuration you have set the messaging endpoint and enable this streaming point. And inside the channels, okay, so make sure you have access to Microsoft Teams over here. Okay, so rest everything is working fine. You can see the test in the web chat is also working fine. So in case if you want to test instead of test the endpoint here, okay, using the web chat, you can do it, or else you can just do it from the Microsoft Teams. So anyways, directly we can check it from the Microsoft Teams. So if I go to channels, okay, so right now everything is working fine. Okay, so yes, so this is all about the setup for the Azure bot. All right, so now let's start implementing the entire workflow inside the N8N. So right now we have added only the one node here, that is a webhook. Okay, let's try to test this webhook. Okay, so let me just open this and click on to this listen for test event. Okay, so right now it's waiting for event to get triggered. So I'll just open my Teams here. Okay, I'm inside this Euron Plus, and if I just tell here what is machine learning. Okay, so I'll just type this, what is machine learning, and do enter. So now I should see that has been triggered and I can see some output has been generated. Okay, so the very important is this is what the very important step is. Okay, so if you have set all the permissions and all the API connections, all the settings properly, so you should see this output inside the webhook. Okay, so here it's all the metadata information that is being sent to the webhook. Okay, you can see we have something called headers, host, user agent, content length, accept encoding, authorization, permissions, very important, authorization. Again, you have something called content type. Okay, if you just keep on scrolling it, you can see that particular message also, you can see. So inside the conversation, so you can see the message. This is what the message is. I have typed what is machine learning, so you should see that message over here. Okay, inside the content, can you see here what is machine learning? Fine. So if you observe here, so we have all the other parameters like channel ID. Okay, but what is not available here is a chat ID. Okay, because chat ID plays a very important role to send back the message to the teams. Okay, so we have already got the data now. So now I can just send that data to my OpenAI to process this information. And so the other challenge is like we need to have the chat ID. Okay, so that will be getting from the Microsoft Graph API. So I'll be showing that. So with help of those informations, I can just send back the information that is being generated by the OpenAI to the teams. So let's go and process that. So now first let me go and add one of the node called edit field. So inside the edit field, I'm gonna set the chat. I'm gonna fetch the two information here. So one is the conversation ID. One is the conversation ID and the other is the user message. So let me just try to set that. Just a second. So here we have edit node. So this is my edit node. And here I'll be pulling the two information. Okay. So one is this will be manual mapping. Okay. So here I need to pull some more information here. So the first I'll type here, I want the chat ID, chat underscore ID. Let me just check that. I'll just open my N8N in one more tab. So just to give the same name, okay, let's try to verify. I have already implemented this workflow. Uh, if I go to my overview, okay, let's give the same thing. Okay, it's called user AAD ID. Okay, let me just copy that. And so I'm just updating it here. Okay, so this is my ID user. I'm capturing the user ID. So what is the user ID? So I'm trying to capture that from AED object ID. So there is something called AED object ID inside my JSON body. So this is my JSON body. So inside this we have this ID. Okay, so make sure you add that in an expression. Okay, so I'll go to value expression and try to add that in expression. Okay, you can see I'm able to fetch that correct AAD object ID. So why we're fetching this object ID? So that I'll be sending that to my Microsoft Graph API, so that I can just fetch the correct chat ID. Okay, because in the metadata whatever I'm getting it here, we don't have chat ID. Okay, so let me just copy this, Control X, and even I'll just set this to expression. So make sure you set this to expression. Okay, so the next important thing which we need to pull is the message here. Okay, so this is what the message is, conversation ID. So Control C. Okay, we need conversation ID also. Okay, let me just try to pull that. So it's an expression. I'll just paste this, and the value here is this value. So even you can just drag and drop. Okay, so for example, I want the conversion ID directly, you can just drag and drop in the value, but this is what you can just paste it. Okay, so you can see I'm able, whenever you're getting the green, means that I'm able to pull the correct information from here. Okay, the next thing I need a message. Okay, so next is the user message. Let me just do Control C, and here let me add it here. So expression, this is my user message, and the value of the user message is this, the expression. So inside the body we have the text. So let me just go and paste it. Okay, so it's expression, Control V. Fine. So you can see I'm able to pull what is machine learning. Fine, let me just test this. All right, so I'm getting the user AAD ID and the conversation ID and the user message. Fine. So this is one of the node, and so along with this node, even I need so I need to send this data, that is what is machine learning, to my OpenAI, right? So let me just send that. So here we'll have the two nodes. Okay. So let me add one more node over here. It's called OpenAI. OpenAI message model, and so that directly I'll just pass it from the webhook. So in the OpenAI, so I need to connect to my OpenAI. So make sure you just have a connection. Already have just set this connection. So if you don't have this connection, you need to just click on to this edit and update your credentials. Okay, where you need to update your OpenAI details. Okay, so here you have an option to create a new credentials. Just click on to that and update all your OpenAI details. Fine. So already have connected. This is my OpenAI account, and the source over here, it is a text. It's a message a model. Okay, and so here I need to choose a model. So let me just select the GPT-4, and so here I need to send a message over here. Okay, so to send a message, already have the expression. Let me just copy that. So this is the expression. Okay, so that is a user message. So this is the user message and it's an expression. So let me just paste it. Is it user message? I think it's just a message. It's just a message. Okay, let's check that in the what is the input we are getting it. It's a user message itself. User underscore message. What is machine learning? Very okay. It's here. Okay, let's try to process this now. So it's content. Okay, you can just directly drag and drop in case if this expression you're not typing it. So you can just drag and drop. You can see I'm able to get index, message, role, content, and all the details over here. So here I need to fetch only the content part. Okay, so now we have just set the webhook. We have just tried to fetch the information about the message. Okay, so here we have few information, like we have the conversation ID, user message, and the something called object ID. Fine. So the next thing which it is required is the HTTP request. Okay, from here I'll be getting the information about the chat ID. Okay, so this is very important. So let me just go and fix that. So here I'll be adding something called HTTP request. So here the next thing is HTTP request. So let me just type here. So it's HTTP request. Here the method is the get method. So here I need to enter the URL. Okay, so I'll just copy the same expression here. Control C. And this is the expression. Okay, let me just show that. So this is how the expression looks. Fine. So it's graph.microsoft.com/v1.0 user slash. Okay, I'm able to fetch that particular object ID slash chats. Okay, it's not slash chats this time. So it is our Euron plus. So it's a Euron plus. It's Euron plus. Okay, please try to update that, because in this project slash chat, let's verify. Yeah, so it's a slash, no, it's slash chat itself. Okay, it's not Teams. It's a slash chats. Okay, let me just copy the same thing. Control C. Let me just remove this. So inside the expression, try to add that. Okay, fine. The next is authentication. So authentication, you need to set as generic credential type. So here you have generic credential type where we are setting the authentication using the OAuth. Let's select that. So here we need to select the OAuth, okay, OAuth 2 API. So here, let me just go and create a new credential. Click on new credential. So here you need to provide a few informations, okay. So this is very important. Let me even just set that. Just need to copy and paste the values. The first thing will remain same, okay. This is the OAuth redirect URL, okay. So this is a slash callback. So authorization code. Next we have authorization URL, okay. So this is the authorization URL. So let me just copy this, Control C. This is my authorization URL. Fine. So next is the access token URL. So this is my access token URL. Control V. So next I need to enter the client ID, very important, client ID and the secret key. So if you remember, so we have already set that. So if I just go back to my Azure Entra ID, and here we have the app registrations. So inside the app, I'll open my Euron Plus app. So here we have a client ID. Okay, let me just copy that client ID. And let me just go and update that client ID over here. So next is the client secret. Okay, so already I have just copied that inside my notebook somewhere. This is my value. Control C, make sure you just add it properly. This is my client secret. Next is the scope. Okay, so this is what the scope you need to update. This is the scope. So next it is the parameters. Okay, just set the access type equal to offline. So this is what you need to set. Okay, so authentication is header. Okay, let me click on to the connect now. So it should verify. You can see connection was successful based on whatever the parameters we have set. Okay, so this step is very, very important. So let me just rename this as my Microsoft Graph Auth. Okay, and click on save. So once this authentication is done, so let me just close this now. It's saved now. So now I can just select this auth over here. Okay, so you can see, so OAuth 2 API, I've just set this to Microsoft Graph Auth. Fine. And the next, the thing which you need to update, here it is, the send query parameter. Let me just check that. So send query parameter, and here you need to tell the name and the value. I'll just copy that which already implemented. So the name is the filter. Okay, just try to add this as a name inside the query parameter. It's an expression, and here the value which you need to send, it is this value. Okay, so chat EQ. Okay, so all these parameters you need to basically send to this API to pull the correct chat ID. Okay, so yes, so this is done. So let me just so we don't have any previous node. Okay, so let me just say this is saved. Okay, let me just go back and let me just save here till this step. Let me just rerun this. Okay, so let me just rerun this webhook. I'll go to my teams. So this time I'll tell here what is deep learning. Okay, so deep learning, LEARNING, enter. And so it should get triggered. Can see this got triggered, and let me just run this. So this also. So here I'm getting the user ID, chat ID, message is what is deep learning. So even let me just run this as well, just to check if the output is being generated. Okay, this has got generated. You can see the output over here. Okay, so this is the content deep learning. Fine. And let me, in the very important step is HTTP request. Now it should generate the chat ID which is we are looking for. Yes, so the very important part here is the chat ID. So this is what the ID we were looking for. Okay, so now let's try to configure this. So now let's try to pull this particular information. Okay, so now the next the next node is something called, again we are doing the edit node. So where we are trying to pull the information about the chat ID. Okay, so let's try to do that. So let me just open it. Let me add one more edit node here. Edit node. So here, so we need the information about the chat ID. So I'll just name this expression name as a chat, ch chat ID, chat underscore ID. And here, so I need to pull the value from the ID. Okay, so this is what the ID is. Let me just drag. Okay, before drag and drop, so I'll just make this as an expression, and this is what the chat ID I'm looking for. Okay, this is a proper chat ID. So this information was not there in my webhook. Okay, so we are just doing all this things, okay, just to get the chat ID from the graph API. Okay, so we need this information. So now let me just run this, just see if I'm able to pull the information. Yes, I'm getting the chat ID. Fine. So this step is done. So now finally I need to send the message to the Microsoft Teams. So through this process, I'm extracting the chat ID, and here I already got an output. So I need to merge this, both the information. So we have something called merge node. So let me just try to add that. So we have something called merge. Okay, so let me first set this. Merge node. So the merge node, I'll go with the combine, and here need to select based on position. Okay, so here the first output is coming from there and second output is coming from there. And if I just try to run this, yeah, you can see I'm getting chat ID, even I'm getting the output from the OpenAI. Okay, and finally I need to send this data to my Microsoft Teams. So final node, so I'll just open it. It's Microsoft Teams. So it is send message. It's create message. Okay, create message. Let me it's create message. So here I need to select the resource as the chat message, and the operation here it is create, and here I'm sending by ID. Okay, so and that ID I'm just getting it from the this here. Okay, let me just drag and drop that as an expression. Okay, so I'm getting the proper chat ID, and the content will be the text. And what is the content I'm sending? It's a content itself. Okay, so let me just drag and drop the content. So this is what the output has to be sent. Let me just test this. Okay, so now I should see that particular message. I mean, like the deep learning is a subset. Okay, inside the output, let me go to my chat. You can see I'm able to see that. Okay, so it's successfully working fine. So now let's try to trigger the entire workflow. So before that, let me just save this, and let me just make this as an active now. Okay, instead of this active, you can make a call. Okay, so let me just if I just go here, so right now it's in the test itself. Okay, so let me just trigger this entire test flow. So it's waiting. So let me just go to my chat. So I'll tell here this time what is generative AI. GENERATIV, generative AI. Enter. So everything is triggered. So now we should see the output. Yeah, you can see the generative AI is a type of machine learning. So I'm getting it. Okay, let me just try once again. So what is N8N workflow? So let's wait. So I think we need to rerun that. Okay, so yeah, so we need to rerun that. So test workflow, it's for executing it. It will not take that much of time. Okay, so yeah, so what is N8N workflow? Enter. It should generate the output. Yeah, you can see. So I'm getting that output. Okay. So this you can just chat it separately here in the chatbot, or you can just go to the teams here. Okay. So here also you can just so if I go to my teams, let me just refresh. Yeah, so here also you can just whenever you are inside the teams and inside the team, okay, so here if whenever you're trying to ask any of the questions, okay, here also you can just refer to the get bots, okay, so and here you can just check like what are the bot you want to ask the question, like Euron plus, and you can just ask the question and it will be replied. Okay, so the both the ways, okay, either you can just chat it separately here using this Euron plus bot, or you can just ask the question in the channel as well. Okay, so yes, so we have successfully implemented this chatbot. So this you can just make it more better. Okay, so in terms of quick response, you can add the more nodes. Okay, if your company is looking for some specific requirement, okay, like documentation, they have some company documentations, or you can add the rag over here. Okay, so you can implement more such complex nodes, okay, and make it more interactive. So I hope you got an idea like how to implement the chatbot using the Microsoft Teams. So see you soon in the next new project.